Few more pages left. Sandy got the attention of the coordinator, who came over to see what was happening. She called one of her doctor friends over, who immediately left to get some nitroglycerin and other medications for me. I rested. I was glad the others in the room took no notice of our situation. They were involved in their relive, pre-live processes. I talked quietly with Sandy, and she explained that my heart had stopped beating and she was very close to panic. I told her I knew and could sense everything that was going on with her, and furthermore with everyone in the room. After the medications, I stood and dragged my right foot. We slowly slipped out of the room. Using Sandy as my crutch, she walked down the stairs, across the street, and up to our room at the hotel. I slept for 2 hours and then, almost fully refreshed, walked back and continued to teach the course. I thought the issue was closed, but 8 months later, while shopping, I fainted. When I awoke, the paramedics were looking down into my face. They took me to the hospital. That day I got a pacemaker to keep my heart going. 8 months later, early in the morning, I awoke with an intense pain in my left arm. That day I got a triple bypass. My heart was enlarged. For several months my heart seemed unable to pump the normal amount of blood a heart should pump. But friends, holodynamics, and medication helped me to heal. But it was months before I could shake the effects of the morphine. It took away my sense of consciousness. It was difficult to think or carry on a meaningful conversation. Of all the experiences of my life, this was the most frightening. I lost connection with my own sense of consciousness. I thought perhaps my guides had lied. This was not easy. I marveled at those kids in the hospital in Moscow. What great faith they showed, and how quickly they had healed when they accessed their information fields. Perhaps the older we get, the more invested we have in sickness or in contamination from holodynes within. In a strange way, I am honored that I, as a psychologist from the middle of the United States of America, could raise enough concern to mobilize such a series of events. 4 years later, I learned they had accused me of spying. Anyone associated with me or with the holodynamic programs was a suspect, and personal visits were initiated to stop their participation. I look back on it all now and smile, because anyone who knows me knows that I live beyond any war espionage games. Those who make the charges do not even begin to understand who I am or what I stand for. While I was recovering, I wrote this book and completed 5 manuals that enlarged upon the principles and give practical exercises so people can become more skilled at holodynamics. In one sense, I appreciate the break from my busy routine. I also appreciate the fact that those who understand the holodynamic nature of the universe cannot be dictated to and have no use for oppression. Holodynamic people are internally referencing. That's why I believe so many people started so many holodynamic programs in so many cities across Russia and the former Soviet Union. It is obvious to me that one of the primary challenges facing human race is to discover the causes and the processes of self-correction for collective dysfunctions. Collective pathologies are built into the mechanisms of the individual consciousness and held in place by the spreading of such dysfunction into groups of people. By understanding and exploring the mechanisms of individual holodynes, it becomes possible to engage the field dynamics of parallel worlds and the implicate order, and to align with our full potential self so as to impact collective consciousness. Quite naturally, we become aware of the possibilities that all of us are intimately involved in the solution to our collective challenges. We can balance the biosphere by working together on our own personal balance among our internal holodynes. We are the solutions. I know that within this holodynamic universe, everything is driven by potential. Thus, every problem is caused by its solution. It is as though all our problems are caused so that we can create the emergence of our solutions. When adequate communication, cooperation, our worst problems transform. We can be faced with the very brink of death and walk back. We can be very ill and heal, and in the process learn about wellness. My own solutions have emerged according to their own implicit order. Within this implicit order are these subtle emergence and parallel world influences that impact life within the space-time continuum. We are not alone. It does not matter whether we are sitting at the top of a mountain or driving deep within the waters of an ocean. The dance of life continues all around us. It goes on in many dimensions of reality. I know my own solutions emerge according to the framework I adopt. My frameworks are my verbal descriptions of my event horizons. They determine the dimensions from which I act. Of all the frameworks possible, I chose a framework that created real solutions. I still expect myself to create real solutions to real problems. My life has been about solving problems like overcoming drug abuse, crime rehabilitation of prisoners, healing mental illnesses, establishing ecological balance, creating economic prosperity, ending war and sickness, and creating a new culture for sustainable communities. I know that my entire family tree, my ancestors and my progenitors know me, appreciate me, and totally love me. Of all frameworks possible, I hit on one that is inclusive of all other theoretical frameworks and includes the whole dynamic. I can say with confidence that every set of circumstances from micro to macro is part of a whole dynamic. I am holodynamic. You are holodynamic. Reality is holodynamic. We live in a dynamic, ever-changing reality. This holodynamic framework, and framework, just look at it as matrix. This is the new matrix, is able to demonstrate real results in every situation. If participants cannot create real results, it is because they are not yet holodynamic. Their persisting problem contains the keys to the unfolding of the next level of consciousness. A persistent problem holds the key to their emergence of their fullest potential within the whole dynamic of life. Thank God for persisting problems. This was my thinking as I emerged from the uranium-238 injection. As far as I know, I am the only one to survive such an injection. It is still my thinking as I have recovered from the aftermath of the expanding of my heart. I had tracked my heart problem and realized it occurred when the world announced a new war. War so terrible, so expensive, and so potentially enduring that it overshadowed all our efforts to end war. We had defeated the Cold War, and now a new war had taken over. Our valued resources, our finances, and our efforts must now be diverted into another war arena. For a while, I was disheartened. So weakened by the radiation within me, my heart was broken. Even from this condition, I sought and found solutions. In a world of increasing technology, new information, and global communication, where new sciences have made significant breakthroughs, there has been an explosion of interest in the science of consciousness. At least a dozen schools of thought have each contributed to this growing body of knowledge. The scientific community is struggling to integrate this information into a more comprehensive theory of consciousness that will be inclusive of all value from other theories, integrated various sources of information into a cohesive theory, and provide practical applications that can be applied to solving growing social problems. I know this, and so I write this book. Finishing this book is part of my own recovery process. It has helped strengthen my heart. In this book, I had presented a comprehensive outline of some of the dimensions of consciousness that are unveiled from various sciences. I have included a brief outline of each major theory of consciousness and then compared these theories with 20 known mechanisms of consciousness. I have attempted to outline a more comprehensive theory that is inclusive of all aspects of known mechanisms and procedures that are involved in consciousness. I call this approach holodynamics, or the holodynamic. I have come to realize that consciousness is the primary state of reality. The universe consists of two domains of consciousness, the manifested, slower than speed of light, and the hyperspatial faster than the speed of light. The hyperspatial aspects of consciousness emerge from parallel worlds, the implicate order, quantum potential fields, spinors, and the full potential self. The manifest aspects of consciousness emanate from information spinners out of quantum potential field into feedback loops. Part of that feedback loop system includes holodynes within the microtubules that are connected to one's biological system. The biological system includes feedback from sensory input through the central nervous system feeding into the microtubules of each cell where memory storage and information processes take place by forming holodynes. Holodynes function as holographic bridges between the manifested world and the quantum potential field. They are part of the information exchange between parallel worlds and physical reality. They manifest as particle, wave, and holodynamic reality. A topology of consciousness is included, providing a more inclusive model of consciousness. What emerges is an implicable approach that we have been exploring for more than 3 decades on the most challenging problems of society: drug abuse, mental illness, criminal behavior, street gangs, at-risk students who had dropped out of school, juvenile inmates, corporate conglomerates, terrorism, and complex government dynamics of the Cold War were brought to solutions. I recovered from a fail-free assassination attempt, being injected with uranium-238, and several resulting collapses of my personal health system. In my own life, as in lives of many others in various parts of the world, people are able to achieve such extraordinary results in solving complex problems. They can be serious social problems, healing diseases, and even establishing wellness using the holodynamic approach. In light of these extraordinary results, it is purposed that the holodynamic framework has value in overcoming the most serious challenges facing the planet. I know we can heal what ails this planet. The holodynes that were lodged within the comfort zone of each individual and held within the collective of the society's belief systems are the root causes of war, disease, pollution, ignorance, and other collective behaviors that are now challenging the planet. The interesting thing is that we, the people, place them there. We can also transform them. How then can this new approach reach enough people to make a difference? When we view reality from a holodynamic view, it is obvious that we can, with the help of our loved ones, establish wellness, biological balance at one and the same time. This is done outside of time, where wellness is, and the biosphere is balanced. It is part of the dance. It is this dance, the dance of life, that best defines reality and provides us with solutions to all of our problems. All that is required is conscious living in a conscious universe. It is easy. It is natural. It is choice. The end. Now, I got some comments that heart represents love. The only reason the heart pumps is because of love. And, he refers to, he developed this heart problem because his heart was broken. And he went into the external world to fix it, using medications and a heart, what do you call it, a pacer, heart pacer, whatever you call it. And like he is, anything that you use to heal yourself from the external world that's not natural, then you're not dealing with something that's internal. You're putting a Band-Aid on something. And yeah, as soon as you lose your heart, as soon as your heart gets broken, that's when you start to go down, a really wrong path. And that has been my own personal experience. My heart was broken when I started watching some of my kids at some point in time start to develop the same abusive patterns that they were being trained. They were literally being programmed to be everything that they hate. And that broke my heart, which has caused me personal health issues, which I have to heal my heart. I have to have the understanding that we are all in the place we need to be, and when we want healing, it will unfold, but you can only focus on what you love, and then you heal your heart. But don't get attached to money. It'll wreck you all the time. I'll get on to the next book. Peace out.